So Nisha, have you got any favourite moments from the Queen?
When she did that stunt where she jumped out
Of an
the
airplane.
helicopter for the Olympics 2012.
That's my fucking Queen right there, jumping out of an airplane with James Bond. Depending on how you quantify it, it could be argued that Queen Elizabeth II is the singular most powerful person on the planet. Armed with a laundry list of executive powers afforded exclusively to her, the Queen's power is such that she could, theoretically, order a nuclear strike anywhere on Earth.
So to start with, why does the Queen have this amazing power?
Because she is the regent, and in the UK and the Commonwealth, and every member of the military, from sailors to airmen and everything in between, swear an oath of fealty not to their commanding officers, not to their country, but to the Queen. And as such, she is regarded as the de facto authority on all military matters. She is the commander-in-chief. We have this tiny, adorable woman whom all members of the military are sworn to obey, and everybody from, like, you know, just privates to generals have to salute her.
It's just the image of this little lady who wears like matching hats and coats in a variety of colours and just in charge.
Her authority is such that, like, for people's birthdays, she just makes them commanding officers in, like, various military regiments. I think it was like the Duke of Edinburgh. For his birthday, she just made him like a general or something like that. I forget what it is. There'd be a little fat bar below, but like for someone's birthday once, she went, oh no, you're just in charge of the Navy now. So what? Because obviously she can just hand out titles to anybody she fucking feels like, because she's the Queen. Nobody can tell her what to do.
Yeah, no one can stop her.
Well, they couldn't, could they? Because obviously every member of the military has to, like, you know, swear an oath of fealty to her, and they all obey her word. Her word is law to every member of the military in the UK and the Commonwealth. Like, even if I think Canadians swear an oath of fealty to the Queen, so she's even in charge of Canadian military.
Oh.
So imagine, like, you try and stop the Queen, and she's like, well, the SAS, the Royal Marines, the entire fucking army, and, like, you know, 14 nuclear-equipped submarines say otherwise. Yeah, I guess so, madam. Carry on.
Speaking of the SAS, me and Adam have been watching the new series with Aunt Middleton. It's so intense.
Go! Go!
Is this like, oh man, because every now and again they'll do like SAS training car.
Yeah, it's like SAS Who Dares Wins. Oh my god, it's so intense. I think I watch it and think I'd quit immediately because they have to stand in freezing cold water.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one on the last episode I watched where they had to fight over a tyre. They literally had to like shove and punch each other out of the way.
Over a tyre.
Yeah.
So the one that gets me, and it's the one that they always make, the SAS, and I think the Paras and the Royal Marines do it as well, where you've got to crawl through that pipe of water. That's the one I couldn't do it, and you have to do it with full gear on, so you've got to be carrying your backpack as well, so you barely fit into the pipe. And there's something about that, which like, that's the one where I would immediately break down and just in tears, I can't do it. Because I get so claustrophobic when I think of that. It's like, have you ever watched the film The Descent?
Not for a long time, but
Okay.
I know which one it is. Yeah, the one where they go on. Is it where they go
They're
underground?
going caving, yeah. And if people don't know about The Descent, go watch The Descent. It's a very, very good film. Basically, a group of women go caving and monsters are there. It's really cool. But there's scenes in that, like where someone gets trapped in the rock.
Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. What are you afraid of? What are you so afraid of? You can move.
It's like I can't watch films where people go underwater. Because I am scared of the water. So like, do you know, like Jaws, where they're underwater, I instinctively try and hold my breath to see, could I survive if I had to hold my breath in this situation, and I never can. And then I get really, really tense, like, oh no, I wouldn't be able to hold my breath this long. I'm getting really, and I fast forward through it. Like, thank God for Netflix. Just be able to fast forward through stuff like that.
Have you seen that film that's called As Above, So Below?
I have not seen that film, no. Describe it to me.
I think it's set in France where they go in the catacombs.
I'm familiar with I've heard of it, yes, but I haven't watched it. And wasn't it filmed in the actual catacombs? Because I think parts of it was. I remember this film, so it's a bit. You can research it and put in a fat bar below.
I'll check because it's been about 5 or 6 years since I saw it because I only watched it once because I didn't want to watch it again. But that freaks me out because, again, it's small spaces, it's dark, you can get stuck.
Full of monsters as well.
But the thing that ruined it for me was there was meant to be monsters or ghosts or something down there, and they just look like people.
Pro tip for people making horror movies, the monster's always scarier when you can't see what it is.
So bringing it back to
Old Liz, yes.
I'm assuming like the military or some people in the military have like a resentment against her being in charge or having more power than like them.
They're generals, yeah, because she's an old person, she's royalty, so she's never really like, got her hands dirty. Yeah. And no, that's not really the case. She's apparently like very well liked in the military, which may have something to do with the fact like during World War II, she served as a mechanic and a radio operator. Like against her father, the king at the time's wishes, because she tried to sign up at age 16 and he told her no. So she had to sign up at 18 and she was a mechanic, a radio operator. And it wasn't just like, just one of those like cushy gigs where she pretended to do some like pose for photographs. No, she threw herself into it and by all accounts was a highly competent mechanic and is still capable of, to this day, repairing a range of civilian and military vehicles. And there are the odd story about the Queen personally repairing her own Land Rover when it breaks down and it needs the royal touch. There are so many stories about people meeting her and not knowing it. There's a famous story, it's like when she was on her estate at Balmoral, she was just out for a walk.
Yeah.
And then she bumped into a bunch of American tourists or something like that, and they ask her, the Queen lives around here, doesn't she? And she's like, yeah, I've heard that. So have you ever met her? And the Queen says, no, but he has, and points at her bodyguard. And the guy and the tourist, rather than putting two and two together and realising that's the Queen, asked her bodyguard for a photo. It's like, she's so good. It's like this, oh man, she's just such a don.
That's amazing.
Just, oh God. It's like, then the other famous story is that she doesn't have a driver's licence because all driver's licences in the UK are issued in the Queen's name.
Yeah.
And she likes to bomb around Balmoral in a Land Rover. And I think one year it was like a sheikh from like one of those Middle Eastern countries where women aren't allowed to drive came over.
Yeah.
And the Queen knew about this. She's like, I'm going to fuck him up. I'm going to scare the shit out of this guy. So she got him in like the Royal Land Rover and drove around for him, knowing he'd never been driven by a woman, and because she knows the road like the back of her hand, because all she does is like, she drives around Balmoral on her own all the time, just went around like 80 miles an hour, and I'm just imagining some Tokyo drift shit happening, just like drifting round the corner of Balmoral, as this sheikh apparently would just shit in his pants, cause not knowing what's going on, as the Queen casually turns to him and says, I don't even have a licence. It's like, oh God, no.
That was so funny. I'm just imagining like Grand Theft Auto style driving now, and
Oh,
she gets
you know
pulled
she
up by the police, and they're like, oh hi, hi Liz.
Have you got a licence? No, I don't need one. Why? I'm the fucking Queen. There's so many like funny like just little jokes about the royal family. Like I think the one that I liked the most was, it might be really hard for the princes. So like, for that when they were getting married to have their stag do's, because imagine you're trying to put money into a stripper's outfit and it's got your grandma's face on it. You just try to shove like a £5 note into a stripper's G-string and it's your grandma staring back at you.
So we know that the Queen can authorise pretty much anything.
Yeah, like the entire military obeys her every command.
So I'm assuming with the whole nuke thing, it's like sort of a ceremonial instant.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Also, yeah, thanks computer for making a little big loud beeping noise over in the corner. I'll have to sort that out later. But no, while she does delegate most of her power to generals and the people who wouldn't be in the know about that sort of thing, the Queen is considered to be the ultimate authority on all military matters, up to and including the literal nuclear option. She is known as the one person on Earth who could override a nuclear order or veto, the option to deliver a nuclear strike. And in the same vein, she also has the power and the authority to authorise a nuclear strike on her own without anybody's approval.
That's insane.
It is. So even the president, maybe not this president, but usually the president has to get approval from Congress before making a decision that world changing. The Queen doesn't. The Queen can do it without anybody's authorization or approval, and that would be terrifying if not for the fact the Queen is generally seen as being quite level-headed. And people in charge of nuclear submarines have been asked, do you ever worry about someone going rogue? And they go, no, because the Queen would stop them. Because even if someone in the military just went rogue and tried to bomb another country, the Queen would be able to issue an order that stopped that. And that to me just sums up how all-encompassing her power is, and how much it is respected that the people in charge of the nukes are well, the Queen would stop it if anything bad happened. It's holy fucking shit, Liz. What the hell? So she's not got enough on her plate, man. She's oh yeah, I've got to stop all the nuclear bombs as well. I'd like to think that the red button's in the throne. I know the red button itself doesn't exist, but a gag I've always appreciated is the one in Ali G. And I'm guessing Americans might not really be all too familiar with Ali G, so it's a character played by Sacha Baron Cohen that is just an idiot. And in the film, he accidentally becomes a member of Parliament. And he meets, the Prime Minister, goes, can I see the red button? So the guy, I think it's played by Michael Gambon, like puts a little code in, and then a big red button comes out, and Ali G goes, "Oh, that's very interesting, Mr. Prime Minister." Just, oh, and just like pretends to lean on it.
One touch on that red button could destroy the whole world.
That is very interesting you say that because...
No!
And he just says this line that always cracks me up, like, "Can we not just blow somewhere up?" And he goes, "No." "How about somewhere shitty like Wales?" And he goes, "No. I heard the Prime Minister of Wales called your mum a slag." And he goes, "I am the Prime Minister of Wales." He goes, "Well, you shouldn't talk about your mum like that, innit?"
I heard the Prime Minister of Wales called your mum a slag.
I am the Prime Minister of Wales.
Well, you shouldn't talk that way about your mum, innit?
When they're going on the radio, because they're going to like break into the Prime Minister's house to steal a sex tape, honestly, go watch the film, it's fantastic. And he puts out the call for all the gangs to join together, because Ali G's like a wannabe gangster, and he's just putting out the call of like, oh, the East Side Massive and all that stuff. And he says, "Oh, we're going for like the Green Hill Dragons," and it's just like some white nerdy guy just on like doing his homework who looks up at the radio and goes, "Whoa!"
Shout going out to the Englefield Green Massive.
It's like, when was the last time you watched that film?
Probably like last week.
Last time?
No, it's been ages since I watched it, but I've got a really weird memory for film.
I'll say you can remember things so well. I can't really remember much of it, just his sort of... I just remember the character.
Like so many little jokes that just go underappreciated. Because obviously the film, it was overshadowed by the success of Borat, I feel. Yeah. Like there's one where it's like, okay, here's the plan that we will do to break into this house. And it unfurls like this hand-drawn map, like drawn literally in crayon. And he points like, here's me, here's Dave, and here's the other guy that we're with. And the one of Ali just has this giant fucking knob drawn on it, and no attention is drawn to it, but it's so fucking funny. It was just like the line of the layout to the Prime Minister's residence is exactly like Lara Croft's house in Tomb Raider 2. So if you charge the pillar, it'll open the secret underwater level. I think that's the actual quote as well. And then they go through the lasers, but they have to like electric dance through the lasers.
Yeah, I need to watch this.
You do. Don't worry, there'll be some clips in for the people at home.
Yeah, I get to watch it while editing.
Go watch Ali G, that film's great. Also, you get to see Charles dance, dress up in leather hot pants.